Hey, Kinsey, and welcome back to Remember What the Lord Has Done. Today we are in 1 Samuel 18, 19, and 20, and then we're going to hop over to Psalm. We'll look at Psalm chapter 11 and then Psalm chapter 59. So today we are continuing where we left off, this replacement of Saul as king with David as king. So we are transitioning from there, and Samuel knew that this wasn't going to end well with the king, and he was absolutely right. And so now we're transitioning to a different king. So we're going to take a look today at Saul's jealousy, and then we'll see Saul's son and how well Jonathan gets along with David. And in fact, it's incredibly close. So really cool to see. But again, 1 Samuel 18 through 20, then we'll hop over to Psalm 11 and chapter 59. But first, 1 Samuel 18 through 20. After David had finished talking with Saul, Jonathan became one in spirit with David, and he loved him as himself. From that day on, Saul kept David with him, and did not let him return to his father's house. Then Jonathan made a covenant with David because he loved him as himself. Jonathan took off the robe he was wearing and gave it to David, along with his tunic, and even his sword, his bow, and his belt. Whatever Saul sent him to do, David did it so successfully that Saul gave him a high rank in the army. This pleased all the people, and Saul's officers as well. When the men were returning home after David had killed the Philistine, the women came out of all the towns of Israel to meet King Saul, with singing and dancing, with joyful songs, and with tambourines and lutes. As they danced, they sang, "Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands." Saul was very angry. This refrain galled him. They've credited David with tens of thousands, he thought, but me with only thousands. What more can he get but the kingdom? And from that time on, Saul kept a jealous eye on David. The next day, an evil spirit from God came forcefully upon Saul. He was prophesying in his house while David was playing the harp, as he usually did. Saul had a spear in his hand, and he hurled it, saying to himself, "I'll pin David to the wall." But David eluded him twice. Saul was afraid of David, because the Lord was with David, but had left Saul. So he sent David away from him and gave him command over 1,000 men, and David led the troops in their campaigns. In everything he did, he had great success, because the Lord was with him. When Saul saw how successful he was afraid of him. But all Israel and Judah loved David, because he led them in their campaigns. Saul said to David, "Here is my oldest daughter, Merab. I will give her to you in marriage. Only serve me bravely and fight the battles of the Lord." For Saul said to himself, "I will not raise a hand against him. Let the Philistines do that." But David said to Saul, "Who am I, and who is my family or my father's clan in Israel, that I should become the king's son-in-law?" So when the time came for Merab, Saul's daughter, to be given to David, she was given in marriage to Adriel of Meholah. Now Saul's daughter Michal was in love with David, and when they told Saul about it, he was pleased. "I will give her to him," he thought, "so that she may be a snare to him, and so that the hand of the Philistines may be against him." So Saul said to David, "Now you have a second opportunity to become my son-in-law." Then Saul ordered his attendants, "Speak to David privately and say, 'Look, the king is pleased with you, and his attendants all like you. Now become his son-in-law.'" They repeated these words to David, but David said, "Do you think it's a small matter to become the king's son-in-law? I am only a poor man and little known." When Saul's servants told him what David had said, Saul replied, "Say to David, 'The king wants no other price for the bride than 100 Philistines' foreskins to take revenge on his enemies.'" Saul's plan was to have David fall by the hand of the Philistines. When the attendants told David these things, he was pleased to become the king's son-in-law. So, before the allotted time elapsed, David and his men went out and killed 200 Philistines. He brought their foreskins out and presented the full number to the king so that he might become the king's son-in-law. Then Saul gave him to his daughter Michal in marriage. When Saul realized that the Lord was with David and that his daughter Michal loved David, Saul became still more afraid of him, and he remained his enemy the rest of his days. The Philistine commanders continued to go out to battle, and as often as they did, David met with more success than the rest of Saul's officers, and his name became well known. Chapter 19. Saul told his son Jonathan and all the attendants to kill David, but Jonathan was very fond of David and warned him, "My father Saul is looking for a chance to kill you. Be on your guard tomorrow morning. Go into hiding and stay there. I will go out and stand with my father in the field where you are. I'll speak to him about you and will tell you what I find out." Jonathan spoke well of David to Saul, his father, and said to him, "Let not the king do wrong to his servant David. He's not wronged you, and what he has done has benefited you greatly. He took his life in his hands when he killed the Philistine. The Lord won a great victory for all Israel, and you saw it and were glad. Why then would you do wrong to an innocent man like David by killing him for no reason?" Saul listened to Jonathan and took this oath: "As surely as the Lord lives, David will not be put to death." So Jonathan called David and told him the whole conversation. He brought him to Saul, and David was with Saul as before. Once more, war broke out, and David went out with fighting the Philistines. He struck them with such force that they fled before him. But an evil spirit from the Lord came upon Saul as he was sitting in his house with his spear in his hand. While David was playing the harp, Saul tried to pin him to the wall with his spear, but David eluded him as Saul drove the spear into the wall. That night, David made good his escape. Saul sent men to David's house to watch it and to kill him in the morning. But Michal, David's wife, warned him, if you don't run for your life tonight, tomorrow you will be killed." So Michal let David through the window, and he fled and escaped. Then Michal took an idol and laid it on the bed, covering it with a garment and putting some goat's hair at its head. When Saul sent his men to capture David, Michal said, "He's ill." Then Saul sent the men back to see David and told them, bring him up to me in his bed, so that I may kill him." But when the men entered, there was the idol on the bed, and at the head was some goat's hair. Saul said to Michal, "Why did you deceive me like this and send my enemy away so that he has escaped?" Michal told him, "He said to me, 'Let me get away. Why should I kill you?'" When David had fled and made his escape, he went to Samuel at Ramah and told him all that Saul had done to him. Then he and Samuel went to Naioth and stayed there. Word came to Saul, "David is in Naioth at Ramah." So he sent men to capture him. But when they saw a group of prophets prophesying, with Samuel standing there as their leader, the Spirit of God came upon Saul's men, and they also prophesied. Saul was told about it, and he sent more men, and they prophesied too. Saul sent men a third time, and they also prophesied. Finally, he himself left for Ramah and went to the great cistern at Seku, and he asked, "Where are Samuel and David?" "Over at Naioth and Ramah," they said. So Saul went to Naioth and Ramah, but the Spirit of God came even upon him, and he walked along, prophesying until he came to Naioth. He stripped off his robes and also prophesied in Samuel's presence. He lay that way all day and night. This is why the people say, "Is Saul also among the prophets?" Chapter 20. Then David fled from Naioth at Ramah and went to Jonathan and asked, "What have I done? What is my crime? How have I wronged your father that he's trying to take my life?" "Never," Jonathan replied. "You are not going to die. Look, my father doesn't do anything great or small without confiding in me. Why would he hide this from me? It's not so." But David took an oath and said, "Your father knows very well that I have found favor in your eyes, and he has said to himself, 'Jonathan must not know this, or he will be grieved.' Yet as surely as the Lord lives, and as you live, there is only a step between me and death." Jonathan said to David, "Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it for you." So David said, "Look, tomorrow is the new moon festival, and I'm supposed to dine with the king, but let me go and hide in the field until the evening of the day after tomorrow. If your father misses me at all, tell him David earnestly asked my permission to hurry to Bethlehem, his hometown, because an annual sacrifice is being made there for his whole clan. If he says very well, then your servant is safe. But if he loses his temper, you can be sure that he's determined to harm me. As for you, show kindness to your servant, for you have brought him into the covenant with you before the Lord. If I am guilty, then kill me yourself. Why hand me over to your father?" "Never," Jonathan said. "If I had the least inkling that my father was determined to harm you, wouldn't I tell you?" David asked, "Who will tell me if your father answers you harshly?" "Come," Jonathan said, "let's go out into the field." So they went there together. Then Jonathan said to David, "By the Lord, the God of Israel, I will surely sound out my father by this time, the day after tomorrow. If he is favorably disposed towards you, will I not send you word and let you know? But if my father is inclined to harm you, may the Lord deal with me, be it ever so severely, if I do not let you know and send you away safely. May the Lord be with you as he has been with my father. But show me the unfailing kindness like that of the Lord, as long as I live, so that I may not be killed. And do not ever cut off your kindness from my family, not even when the Lord has cut off every one of David's enemies from the face of the earth." So Jonathan made a covenant with the house of David, saying, "May the Lord call David's enemies to account." And Jonathan and David reaffirmed this oath out of love for him, because he loved him as he loved himself. Then Jonathan said to David, "Tomorrow is the new moon festival. You will be missed because your seat will be empty. The day after tomorrow, toward evening, go to the place where you hid when this trouble began, and wait by the stone easel. I will shoot 3 arrows to the side of it, as though I were shooting at a target. Then I will send a boy and say, 'Go, find the arrows.' If I say to him, 'Look, the arrows are on this side of you, bring them here,' then come, because as surely as the Lord lives, you are safe. There is no danger. But if I say to the boy, 'Look, the arrows are beyond you,' then you must go, because the Lord has sent you away. And about the matter you and I discussed, remember, the Lord is witness between you and me forever." So David hid in the field, and when the new moon festival came, the king sat down to eat. He sat in his customary place by the wall, opposite Jonathan, and Abner sat next to Saul, but David's place was empty. Saul said nothing that day, for he thought something must have happened to David to make him ceremonially unclean. Surely he is unclean. But the next day, the second day of the month, David's place was empty again. Then Saul said to his son Jonathan, "Why hasn't the son of Jesse come to eat either yesterday or today?" Jonathan answered, "David earnestly asked me for permission to go to Bethlehem. He said, 'Let me go, because our family is observing a sacrifice in the town, and my brother has ordered me to be there. If I have found favor in your eyes, let me get away to see my brothers.' That is why he has not come to the king's table." Saul's anger flared up at Jonathan, and he said to him, "You son of a perverse and rebellious woman, do I not know that you have sided with the son of Jesse to your own shame and to the shame of the mother who bore you? As long as the son of Jesse lives on this earth, neither you nor your kingdom will be established. Now send and bring him to me, for he must die." "Why should he be put to death? What has he done?" Jonathan asked his father. But Saul hurled his spear at him to kill him. Then Jonathan knew that his father intended to kill David. Jonathan got up from the table in fierce anger. On that second day of the month, he did not eat because he was grieved at his father's shameful treatment of David. In the morning, Jonathan went out to the field for this meeting with David. He had a small boy with him, and he said to the boy, "Run and find the arrows I shoot." As the boy ran, he shot an arrow beyond him. When the boy came to the place where Jonathan's arrow had fallen, Jonathan called out after him, "Isn't the arrow beyond you?" Then he shouted, "Hurry, go quickly, don't stop." The boy picked up the arrow and returned to his master. The boy knew nothing of all this, only Jonathan and David knew. Then Jonathan gave his weapons to the boy and said, "Go, carry them back to town." After the boy had gone, David got up from the south side of the stone and bowed down before Jonathan 3 times with his face to the ground. Then they kissed each other and wept together, but David wept the most. Jonathan said to David, "Go in peace, for we have sworn friendship with each other in the name of the Lord, saying, 'The Lord is witness between you and me, and between your descendants and my descendants forever.'" Then David left, and Jonathan went back to town.
Psalm 11. For the directive music of David. In the Lord I take refuge. How then can you say to me, "Flee like a bird to your mountain"? For look, the wicked bend their bows. They set their arrows against the strings to shoot from the shadows of the upright heart. When the foundations are being destroyed, what can the righteous do? The Lord is in his holy temple. The Lord is on his heavenly throne. He observes everyone on earth. His eyes examine them. The Lord examines the righteous, but the wicked, those who love violence, he hates with a passion. On the wicked he will rain fiery coals and burning sulfur. A scorching wind will be their lot. For the Lord is righteous. He loves justice. The upright will see his face. And then Psalm 59, you said?
Yeah.
For the director of music, to the tune of "Do Not Destroy" of David, a miktam, when Saul had sent men to watch David's house in order to kill him. Deliver me from my enemies, O God. Be my fortress against those who are attacking me. Deliver me from evildoers, and save me from those who are after my blood. See how they lie in wait for me. Fierce men conspire against me for no offense or sin of mine, Lord. I have done no wrong, yet they are ready to attack me. Arise to help me. Look at my plight. You, Lord God Almighty, you who are the God of Israel, rouse yourself to punish all the nations, so show no mercy to wicked traitors. They return at evening, snarling like dogs, and prowl about the city. See what they spew from their mouths. The words from their lips are sharp as swords, and they think, "Who can hear us?" But you laugh at them, Lord. You scoff at all those nations. You are my strength. I watch for you. You, God, are my fortress, my God on whom I can rely. God will go before me and will let me gloat over those who slander me. But do not kill them, Lord, our shield, or my people will forget. In your might uproot them and bring them down. For the sins of their mouths, for the words of their lips, let them be caught in their pride. For the curses and lies they utter, consume them in your wrath. Consume them till they are no more. Then it will be known to the ends of the earth that God rules over Jacob. They return at evening, snarling like dogs, and prowl about the city. They wander about for food, and howl if not satisfied. But I will sing of your strength. In the morning I will sing of your love. For you are my fortress, my refuge in times of trouble. You are my strength. I sing praise to you. You, God, are my fortress, my God on whom I can rely. Yeah.
All this stuff with David really gets me thinking about this tough advice that I keep giving you and your sister. And it's okay advice. I think it's not great advice. It'll be really good advice later on, I think. Right now it's really tough advice. So the advice that I keep saying is just ignore them. And that would be if your sister's bugging you or if you are bugging your sister or something, I say that. But that's not great advice because both of you play off of each other and you both like getting a rise out of the other one. And I think it's easier to walk away later in life with other people that aren't so close to you. Just is that person agitating you or whatever? Just ignore them. Just you worry about yourself. But again, I think that's still tough. That's still tough advice to follow. And depending on the situation, that's not always possible. So the Bible gives a better answer to that. This idea that we have to be as wise as serpents. We really have to be wise with how we approach others, but we need to be as gentle as doves. So we need to be godly in our approach to that. And I think about that is if David was ignoring Saul, if David was playing the harp and ignoring Saul, then what is that? Chapter 18, verse 11 would have turned out very different. And he hurled it, this is Saul, saying to himself, I'll pin David to the wall, but he missed. Well, no, that's not what it says. It says, but David eluded him twice. If David was ignoring or wasn't aware of the situation, wasn't aware of what Saul was doing, wasn't aware that he had a spear, it's very likely that he would have been killed. But David eluded him. I don't know, it's possible I'm reading too much into that. Maybe God made him miss, but that's not what it says. So David was very wise with that situation. He had that situational awareness. And later on, we'll see, spoiler, that he treats him with the loving kindness of God. So that idea of just ignore them, again, I think you can sometimes, but I think there are other times where it's not necessarily possible. When you're sitting on the slide and Rayleigh's fussing behind you, you can ignore her to a point, but at some point she's going to push you down the slide, which we're working on. But yeah, so that's part of my prayer for you today is that you be very wise, but you be very gentle. If there's anything else.
Yeah, I have a couple things. In 18:14, it says, in everything he did, he had great success. This is for David, because the Lord was with him. And I think that's really interesting. One of the things that our pastor Brad said and kind of prophesied over you at your baby dedication was that you would be successful in everything you do. And here we see because the Lord was with him. And I think that's true for you as well. If you keep God close and if you keep pursuing him, then maybe that is true, that you will be successful in everything you do, but it's because the Lord is with you.
And not to your glory, but to his.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think it's interesting too that as we continue to see David and learn about him, we realize that he was a very good man, a good king, a good ruler. Yes, he made mistakes. He wasn't perfect. So it's like we have this kind of picture of a really good man, and we've seen that in the past in the Old Testament for like Abraham, very righteous and that kind of thing, but they're not Christ. And we have to remember that as yes, David was successful in everything he did because the Lord was with him. Well, Christ is the Lord and is successful in everything that he did and does. So I just think that that's kind of interesting that said that there, and it goes back to your baby dedication too of that statement over your life. But it's again because the Lord was with him and with you. So yeah.
You want to pray us out? Or you want me to? Okay. God, I thank you for Kinsey, and Lord, I pray that you give her not only good discernment, Lord, but give her also wisdom in situations when she should ignore the jabs or the words of others, Lord, but also give her further wisdom to know how to respond as you would, that she may respond in love, God. I pray that you give her great success with that, Lord, that it would make her life better. I know that it will, Lord, but ultimately for your glory, whatever the case, may it be for your glory, God. And I just pray that you let her be strong and resilient as she navigates that, God. We thank you so much for her. And in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Kinsey, we love you. We appreciate you. And we will plan on seeing you tomorrow. Have a good one.